The world after the First World War was bruised and uncertain, with great empires drained and peace resting on shaky ground.
In the 1920s, global powers sought recovery through trade and fragile optimism, while at the top stood two giants, Britain with its vast navy and colonies, and the industrial powerhouse, the United States. But stability was brief. In 1929, the global economy collapsed, shutting factories. Desperate nations turned to radical visions, promising strength and revival amid economic chaos and political resentment. In Japan, strategists aimed to establish a greater East Asia co-prosperity sphere through expansion and influence. Both nations saw peace as vulnerability. Conflict was regarded as the sole route to greatness and survival. During the 1930s, Britain, France, and the US observed nervously, marked by past tragedies and alert to emerging risks.
British leadership pursued negotiated settlements, believing diplomatic engagement would maintain European stability and prevent continental tensions.
Diplomatic assurances of stability proved insufficient when territorial control shifted in Central Europe.
Breach shattered diplomacy. The world edged closer to conflict again.
In the East, Japan occupied Manchuria in 1931, establishing a strict puppet regime controlled by the military.
Historical events in East Asia led to significant humanitarian challenges affecting many communities.
By 1939, Germany had re-entered the Rhineland, annexed Austria, and focused its attention on the Polish region. Leaders from Britain and France pledged to protect Poland, seeking a unified stance against aggression.
On September 1, 1939, German forces entered Poland, marking the beginning of a global conflict.
The USSR surprised the world by advancing into Poland from the east, following a secret agreement with Germany. Early 20th century military doctrine emphasized rapid maneuvers, coordinated operations with vehicles, aircraft, and ground personnel.
In 1940, Europe fell to occupation in a matter of weeks. Britain stood alone as troops withdrew from Dunkirk, leaving behind much equipment.
The great leader stood firm, declaring victory, inspiring a nation in hardship.
The Allied leaders devised a plan for a crucial amphibious operation, determined to succeed.
But Britain's Royal Navy and Royal Air Force remained steadfast, using radar and nimble fighters to secure the skies.
During the Battle of Britain, RAF pilots demonstrated unwavering resolve against relentless enemy attacks.
For the first time, enemy forces were halted. Britain endured, battered, but unbroken.
In the early 1940s, multiple nations formed a strategic partnership, driven by shared objectives and mutual interests. Yet the Axis partners faced challenges: Italy's difficult campaigns and Germany's limited resources. The naval blockade severely disrupted Axis supply routes, impacting their war efforts. Hitler relied heavily on trade with the Soviet Union, a paradoxical connection to his ideological opponent.
Japan's empire had expanded greatly across the Pacific, but its access to crucial supplies was rapidly diminishing.
Following the occupation of French Indochina, the US implemented economic sanctions, halting Japan's oil and steel imports.
Japan faced a critical decision: secure resources through assertive action. Meanwhile, the United States steadily increased production under the Lend-Lease Act, supporting the Allies. National leadership described the country as a provider of essential materials during a pivotal era.
By the early stages of the conflict, the Axis faced critical shortages and stretched forces.
In mid-1941, a major military operation commenced across Eastern European borders, one of the largest territorial campaigns of the era. The military leader believed the Eastern forces would collapse quickly, describing them as a fragile structure on the brink of collapse.
Industrial facilities were strategically relocated eastward to secure production capabilities during challenging times.
The people were told they were fighting for their future. Howling. The Great Patriotic War had started.
German units advanced rapidly, but encountered great distances and firm opposition.
By December 1941, German forces reached Moscow's outskirts but were halted by the severe Russian winter.
The advance had stalled. The promise of a swift victory was lost.
At nearly the same moment, Japan initiated a surprise strike on a historic American harbor, altering the course of the war forever.
Following significant developments, the nation became involved in Pacific tensions, broadening the international situation.
Within days, European powers expanded their military engagements, broadening the international situation.
From the snowy landscales to tropical jungles, the world was engulfed in massive conflict.
A powerful coalition confronted foes far more powerful than themselves.
By 1941, Axis powers had reached their peak expansion, but also marked the beginning of their decline. As winter gripped the Eastern Front and Pearl Harbor's smoke still lingered, the world held its breath. The Allies appeared relentless, yet their forces were stretched thin and their supplies running low.
The Allied nations came together in partnership, coordinating their efforts for significant strategic operations.
In 1942, Allied standards flew high, overseeing Europe, Asia, and vast parts of the Pacific. Yet behind these successes, they had overextended themselves, stretching their supply lines and resources too far.
This marked the turning point in the war, when momentum shifted against the enemy.
For the first time, major global powers coordinated their efforts toward common strategic objectives.
The surprise attack at Pearl Harbor stirred the sleeping giant. America's industrial might advanced rapidly.
A single factory in Michigan could produce high-quality aircraft components at an impressive rate.
The surprise attack at Pearl Harbor stirred the sleeping giant. America's industrial might advanced rapidly.
A single factory in Michigan could produce high-quality aircraft components at an impressive rate.
Cargo ships were launched every 2 days, and millions of tanks, trucks, and ammunition were manufactured.
The arsenal of production was fully equipped, its factories a powerful engine of manufacturing.
Cargo vessels were launched regularly, with substantial quantities of industrial vehicles and materials being manufactured.
The arsenal of production was fully equipped, its factories a powerful engine of manufacturing.
In Britain, the Blitz tested the nation's resolve, but the spirit of defiance stayed strong. Through the toughest times, the Allies united their strength, aiming to restore peace across the globe. From the remnants of London to Glasgow's shipyards, the nation rebuilt and prepared to move forward.
Across the vast Soviet expanse, production facilities stood beyond military response zones, as forces adjusted and prepared for response.
Military commanders began to recognize the consequences of their strategic decisions across Europe and beyond.
At Britain's government code and cipher school, cryptanalysts worked persistently to unravel coded German communications encrypted by Enigma.
They're advancing faster than anticipated.
Look at the satellite feed.
We have to pull back the forward teams now, before they are cut off.
Across the Pacific, American analysts deciphered Japanese communications, foreseeing attacks before they occurred.
In June 1942, the American fleet prepared to defend Midway Atoll against a potential Japanese attack.
Through intelligence analysis, Naval Command positioned vessels to respond to maritime movements in the Pacific. American dive bombers struck decisively, sinking 4 Japanese naval vessels and shifting the Pacific battle.
The Battle of Midway crippled Japan's naval power and ended the illusion of their invulnerability. In North Africa, military forces advanced toward strategic objectives, creating operational challenges for supply routes.
Commonwealth forces prepared for a significant military engagement in North Africa.
In October 1942, the British 8th Army counterattacked, pushing Rommel's forces westward. The North African campaign was described as a pivotal moment, marking a shift where continued progress became increasingly assured.
The Battle of the Atlantic unfolded beneath the waves as German U-boats targeted merchant vessels.
Allies adapted swiftly, employing convoys and sonar to counter enemy tactics.
By 1943, the submarine threat diminished, and vital sea lanes reopened for Allied supplies.
Victory unfolded step by step as the forces gained momentum across land, air, and sea. On the Eastern Front, Germany launched Operation Blue to secure oil resources in the Caucasus and Stalingrad. The battle for Stalingrad escalated into fierce street fighting, with German troops battling through ruined cityscapes.
Eastern defenders, armed primarily with rifles, were instructed to hold their ground, not one step back.
Winter encircled the German 6th Army, trapping over 300,000 troops without supplies or hope. The commander decreed no withdrawal, requiring the troops to maintain their ground as conditions deteriorated. By February 1943, Stalingrad fell. German units laid down their arms, marking a turning point. The turning point of Stalingrad marked a shift from expansion to desperate survival for the Axis powers.
Allied bombers targeted German cities day and night, reducing war production.
The German Air Force, once a dominant force, grew increasingly fatigued under relentless Allied pressure. As Soviet forces received American aid, their logistics improved significantly.
For every German vehicle abandoned, 2 or 3 Soviet armored vehicles advanced, steadily gaining ground.
Vehicles rolled off the production lines as the balance of influence shifted decisively toward the Allies.
Within the Allied coalition, divisions deepened and unity started to falter as Italy's campaigns struggled. Following the Allied invasion of Sicily in 1943, Italy underwent significant changes.
Germany acted swiftly to secure Italy, preventing its breakdown and sustaining regional control throughout the occupation.
In Asia, Japan's territory adjusted as American forces made strategic advances to secure key locations. U.S. submarines targeted enemy supply convoys, disrupting crucial resources and fuel. The Japanese forces, limited in fuel and pilots, faced skilled American airmen in fierce aerial battles. By the end of 1943, Axis forces were struggling to maintain their grip, facing collapse on multiple fronts. By 1943, the Axis powers were facing challenges, persevering despite increasing setbacks.
Leaders ready to strike Central Europe in a decisive campaign.
By early 1944, Axis forces were pulling back in Russia and Italy under persistent Allied pressure.
The Pacific Campaign pushed Japan back, island by island, despite fierce resistance.
The Axis powers pushed forward with rapid expansion, but the world was closing in.
The Allies initiated the plan to free Europe. The Western Europe invasion was underway.
On June 6, 1944, the Allied forces began their invasion, with thousands crossing the English Channel to Normandy. Men faced mines, barbed wire, and fortified positions in the largest amphibious operation.
Gradually, international forces secured territory, establishing positions that would advance through Western Europe.
The Red Army launched Operation Bagration, overwhelming Axis forces on the Eastern Front.
German forces faced severe setbacks and struggled to regroup or recover.
The Axis, once masters of Europe's fate, were now struggling just to survive. By day, American aircraft targeted industrial sites. By night, British forces struck German cities. These raids disrupted German production and forced home defenses.
The Battle of the Atlantic concluded with Allied convoys shielded by advanced technology and tactics.
By mid-1943, essential supply routes had stabilized, while Axis forces struggled with shortages.
Across the Pacific, strategic island landings enabled the Allies to make steady gains. Air and submarine strikes disrupt enemy supply lines, weakening their defense.
As the war reached its final stages, Germany fell back on multiple fronts, fighting a losing battle.
Red Army troops advanced towards Berlin, unwavering in their final effort against Axis forces.
Forces pushed into German territory from the west simultaneously.
The command grew increasingly resolute, forbidding any withdrawals and causing significant losses.
Senior officers aiming to protect their men were overruled, as prioritizing ideology outweighed tactical sense.
Germany continued deploying long-range projectiles, striking Allied cities in a final desperate effort.
And Germany invested in advanced delivery systems, impacting their military production. Millions of people endured harsh conditions, compelled to work in camps supporting the wartime effort. By May 1945, Allied forces had encircled Germany, leading to its inevitable surrender. In the Pacific, persistent American forces advanced island by island toward Japan's tough home defenses. Japanese pilots flew planes into Allied ships as a last resort for defense. Despite Japan's surrender in mid-1945, citizens faced immense hardships. August 1945 brought devastating news to Hiroshima and Nagasaki, ending the conflict abruptly.
Soviet forces launched a decisive offensive in Manchuria, defeating Japanese forces and shaping Japan's destiny.
Cities devastated, economies affected, communities relocated by conflict. In 1939, the Holocaust led to the tragic loss of 6 million Jewish people and others.
Across the Pacific, cities were devastated by firebombings and atomic strikes, causing immense loss of life.
The Allied forces combined their strength and solidarity, coordinating extensive land, sea, and air operations.
This audio is a play prices.
Industrial strength gave the Allies a significant production advantage.
Industrial capacity provided a substantial manufacturing advantage during this period. Leadership choices and strategic decisions played a crucial role in the outcome of World War II.
Decoding intercepted communications, precision air support, and beach landings secured Allied victory.
Disease. Following August 1945, the global landscape shifted, empires dissolved,
and
World War II left enduring impacts, technology advancements, global realignments, and a renewed dedication to human rights.
On a significant day marking European progress, a momentous occasion was celebrated for its demonstration of collective.
The Axis fell not from lack of resolve, but due to the combined efforts of a united global opposition.
From significant operations to island campaigns, determination leads to achievement.
The past aimed to dominate, but left only ruins and lessons for future generations.
The sun began to dip over the serene countryside hamlet, casting long shadows along the empty streets.
A man slowly walked down the street, his walking stick tapping rhythmically on the pavement.
He paused near a familiar bench, gazing towards the horizon with a quiet sense of nostalgia.
A soft, distant bell tolled, resonating through the town, capturing his attention. As night settled, the town remained peaceful with the stories of its people.
An elderly gentleman arrived at his destination, a small garden where memories blossomed alongside the flowers. In Central Europe, this leader emerged advocating for national restoration and reform, responding to widespread societal challenges.
In Japan, military leaders aimed to extend their reach across East Asia through careful planning. In Japan, military leaders aimed to extend their reach across East Asia through careful planning.
Both nations regarded peace as a challenge. Strength and survival were seen as the only routes to security. Both nations regarded peace as a challenge. Strength and survival were seen as the only routes to security.
In the 1930s, Britain, France, and the United States observed cautiously. In the 1930s, Britain, France, and the United States observed cautiously.
A policy of diplomatic engagement led to an international accord intended to maintain stability and prevent escalation.
Diplomatic assurances of stability were soon followed by territorial changes in Central Europe, altering the regional balance.
Diplomatic tensions rise. A global conflict draws near.